There are many ways to play the vital role of the Chronomancer. One of the perhaps lesser known ways to do so is with minstrel gear. After the Signet of Inspiration nerf, things look bleak for the minstrels, as 2 Chronomancers of course requires either larger commitment to the gear type, or only affecting a single subgroup, therefore requiring additional value for doing so. Fortunately, we can do just that. Through the powers of Chaos and Herald runes, we can provide a plethora of defensive boons for our team in addition to completely ridiculous healing capabilities. With this build, your subgroup will truly be a happy subgroup, with permanent quickness, alacrity, protection, 420 regeneration ticks, vigor, and insane sustained healing. First of all, let's talk about traits. We'll need Inspiration, Chaos, and Chronomancer. In Inspiration, the choices are Restorative Mantras, Warden's Feedback, and Illusionary Inspiration. Restorative Mantra's tooltip is in fact incorrect. It shows a healing power scale of 0.2. In reality, it's 0.8. This means with our minstrel gear, whenever we charge Mantra of Recovery, it will heal for nearly 5,000 in a large radius, which is more than likely to full heal most players, especially when combined with Healing Prism. Warden's Feedback reduces the cooldown on focus skills and makes them reflect projectiles for some additional utility. This trait is what can allow us to maintain 100% minstrel focus uptime, as we can use it to pull Seekers on Veil Guardian and reflect Matthias' projectile attack with careful timing if needed. And as we'll only ever summon shield phantasms, the Wardens will never cause troubles, therefore allowing us to use the minstrel on every current encounter. Lastly, Illusionary Inspiration gives us more regeneration than we could ever possibly need, and an additional Signet of Inspiration when summoning a Phantasm. With correct timing, this will of course greatly improve our group buffing capabilities. Chaos is an often disregarded trait line, but no longer. Not only is it going to give us around 21% boon duration from Chaotic Persistence, it will also give us access to every defensive boon in the game consistently. The source of this boon fiesta is Bountiful Disillusionment, which grants several boons when shattering, and due to our 100% boon duration and Signets of Inspiration, we can cast Cry of Frustration at opportune moments, and more or less maintain permanent vigor on our subgroup. An occasional additional shatter may be required to top up vigor, but this isn't a problem as long as you cast it just before summoning additional shield phantasms. Another side effect of Chaos is permanent protection on ourselves thanks to Illusionary Membrane. This unfortunately does not affect our allies, as that would be completely ridiculous, but it does ensure that we will always share protection with Signets of Inspiration, so we don't need to worry about mantra channel timings, and therefore does increase overall group protection uptime. Combine this with Illusionary Defense and our obscene toughness, and you'll find that Minstrel Chronomancer is virtually indestructible, so you can focus on carrying your team without having to carry yourself. Always a handy bonus. Bountiful Disillusionment also provides surprisingly high stability and resistance uptime, which although somewhat uncontrollable due to it being part of your rotation, can sometimes come in very handy in fights such as Matthias, Zera, or Slothosaur, where conditions and knockdowns can be a problem. Lastly, for Chronomancer, we are picking exactly what you'd expect. All's well that ends well for more alacrity, improved alacrity for better alacrity on ourselves, and Chrono Phantasma to avoid losing our beloved illusionary Avengers. Thanks to Chaos, we have a lot of extra boon duration, so our gearing is slightly different than what you might expect. The setup I use is Ascended Minstrel weapons with sigils of Transference and Water, along with Ascended Minstrel armor with Herald runes. Trinkets are where things change up a bit. Take an exotic Minstrel amulet and 2 exotic Minstrel accessories, all with platinum doubloons. The back piece being exotic Cleric, also with the platinum doubloon. The rings are Ascended Minstrel. This will give us a base boon duration of 68.5%. Combined with Bountiful Sharpening Stones, this yields 78.5%, and with the 21% from having 7 boons on us with Chaotic Persistence, which is almost guaranteed, we will always have 100% boon duration. This means we have no use for Sigil of Concentration, hence the Water Sigil. The finishing touch to the build is some delicious rice balls to sustain us in battle. The 100 healing power is nice, but the 10% healing modifier is far too powerful to possibly ignore. If you don't want to tank or indeed steal aggro from another Minstrel Chrono by channeling a mantra, you'll need full Magi armor and weapons with exotic rings, amulet and accessories, all with platinum doubloons. The back piece retains its minstrel glory. The Magi setup does require a Sigil of Concentration to max out boon duration, so replace the Sigil of Water, but note that weapon swapping will become a key part of your rotation. The true power of Herald Runes is only apparent with a short cooldown heal skill, just like Mantra of Recovery, with its short 10-second cooldown, 7.5 with Alacrity. Activating its first charge will apply 4 seconds of protection in a large 360 unit radius. Accounting for cast time and the additional recharge on the 2 charges, this amounts to nearly 40% protection uptime. With our Signets of Inspiration, this increases to about 95%. A tiny contribution from your allies, such as an Elementalist with imbued melodies, and that will be 100%. That now leads us on to our utility skills. We of course take Mantra of Recovery for healing, protection, and thanks to Mender's Purity, solid condition cleanse. Filling out the rest of the bar is nothing special. Signet of Inspiration, Well of Action, and Well of Recall. This classic combination provides the usual Chronomancer buffs everyone knows and loves. Our elite skill is a little bit situational. You could take any of them. Time Warp for some safety quickness, Mower for extreme break bar destruction, or Gravity Well for strong area control and shorter cooldown break bar breaking. Now that we've dealt with all of that, we now have the correct setup to carry our team to free raid kills. Let's examine how to play the ultimate Minstrel Chrono. Our rotation is similar to the Domination build, but slightly different, particularly at the start of the fight. Because Chaos does nothing to help us maintain quickness, I advise being very confident on maintaining this buff while attacking the Golem before moving into a raid, as the margin for error is significantly lower than with Domination. Not catching Tides of Time to reduce its cooldown can cause problems, but this does alleviate after the second Continuum split, as we'll be able to use Illusionary Inspiration to generate quickness, as opposed to wasting it in the opening rotation. Begin an encounter with Mantra of Recovery charged and on your non-shield set. Cast Illusionary Leap and summon whatever phantasm you have access to, then swap to shield and cast Echo of Memory. About halfway through the block, cast Continuum Split, Cry of Frustration, Power Return, Tides of Time, Signet of Inspiration, Well of Action, and Well of Recall, then close the Rift. If you get a block while in Continuum Split, you may want to begin casting it, then immediately cancel while still in the Rift, as this will mean the skill is off cooldown after Continuum Split, allowing you to potentially start the fight with 3 Avengers, ensuring that even if people don't stand in your wells, Alacrity uptime will still be strong. And Minstrel Phantasm DPS isn't exactly brilliant, so there's little use in summoning offensive phantasms. After the opening rotation, it's simply a matter of repeating our core sequence of Tides of Time, Signet, Wells, and Echo of Memory, and channeling Mantra of Recovery as often as possible, and when Continuum Split is off cooldown, it's time to do it all over again. If at some point you find yourself out of vigor, simply cast Cry of Frustration just before casting a Signet of Inspiration, and then immediately resummon the Phantasm. If you just randomly shatter and have to wait to resummon the Avenger, Alacrity problems may arise. If a stage of the fight begins where you are already in combat, for example Zera or after Veil Guardian splits, you can avoid wasting your first Signet of Inspiration by casting Cry of Frustration and using a Mantra charge before summoning any illusions, which will cause the first Illusionary Inspiration to share protection and vigor. That's just all about there is to it. Follow these simple steps while performing various encounter-specific mechanics, and you'll have no trouble in trampling over content by making it completely trivial. Remember, one of the key points in mastering this build is to acquire the legendary focus, the Minstrel. The soothing musical notes greatly increase your power to truly inconceivable levels. To go even further than this, equip the Minstrel finisher, so that even when you lose, the spirit of Minstrel Chrono will be with you. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this guide may be of some assistance to you. Now go forth and carry your squad and yourself to victory.